Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Community Arts of Bellevue Live from the View show tonight. We've got an exceptional, absolutely amazing show tonight. We're going to be remembering a Nashville treasure, Barry Scott, who was such a leader in the arts of Nashville and helped actually shape what the arts in Nashville has been. He was an actor, a director, a producer, just so much more. He did voiceover. He was nationally and internationally and locally known. And so tonight we're here to pay tribute to him. He just recently passed away. We've got the executive vice president of education and community outreach, Roberta Ciuffo West, who is going to be leading the interviews with Jim Rayland and Chip Arnold, who have both worked with Barry over his career. Jim is an amazing writer, producer, director, and Chip, everybody knows his exceptional work as an actor extraordinaire. So thank you all for joining us tonight, and welcome to everybody, and let's play tribute to the amazing Barry Scott. So Roberta, you take it from here.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, and again, welcome everybody. I'm honored to be here to be a part of this tribute to Barry Scott, his personal life, his illustrious career, and all of the community members and colleagues and friends and family who love and respected and worked with Barry over so many years. And two of these individuals have joined us today. As Kathleen said, Chip Arnold is an actor, and he has had a presence in the theater community in Nashville and beyond for many years, and he's worked with Barry over the years, and I know developed a deep friendship, and as had Jim Rayland, as Kathleen said, actor, as writer, producer, director, and had worked with Barry in many different theatrical settings over the years. And I know he has some lovely memories of Barry. And, you know, actually to start, I would love to ask both of you, Chip and Jim, when do you remember first meeting Barry?
Chip?
Okay. Yes, I had my wife and kids, and I had just moved back from Los Angeles. Mac Perkle asked me to come in and help with the production at Tennessee Rep of Pirates of Penzance, and Barry played, his beautiful voice, singing voice, played a major role and sang a major role in that production, and that was my first opportunity to meet Barry and get to work with him. So that's been 30 years ago.
Yeah, mine was in the mid-'90s, about 1997 or so. And I met Barry at 2 o'clock in the morning in a holding cell at the Tennessee State Prison, which is just up here in North Nashville. It was a fully active prison filled with inmates and the whole thing. And we were shooting an episode of Rescue 911. And so we spent all night talking and chatting about theater and life. And then we continued to do that for the next 30 years. But Barry was quite the star of that episode. He was hanging out with William Shatner, and they put me in a costume and tied me up in the bottom of the closet. So that was my 5-minute acting career. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was quite an interesting way to meet someone. And that was B.
Well, yes, talking about the 90s, I think we have a photograph, an image next of Barry and Matt Carlton in Jim, your production of Stuff at the Belcourt Theater. And I want to ask you to talk about that, but I think I also heard that there was a special aspect to this production because it took place at the Belcourt. If you would talk about this image and that experience.
Well, this was in the 90s when the Belcourt closed down and stopped showing movies. And there was some interest in exactly which way the theater was going to go. whether it would be torn down or as we all know, we've watched to see how it's flourished. But the owner of the theater was a gentleman named Charlie Hawkins, who has since passed away. But Charlie made the mistake of answering my phone call one day. And when we asked him if it would be all right for us to come in and do the play there, and no one had done theater in that building for 40 years or on that stage. And so I told him that Barry Scott was part of the cast and the production. He was going to be directing the play. And that's just deal right there. He was a huge fan of Barry's and gave us permission right away. And so we went in and we raised the screen, and we took all the stuff that was behind the screen and made it part of our set. And we did the production at the Belcourt Theater back in '99. And that's a picture of Matthew and Barry. And I love that picture because it just really typifies both of their characters. Bobby, who is Barry's character, is very confident, and Milton is a little bit damaged. That's Matt's character, and he looks so vulnerable right there. And that picture is just fabulous. And I've got a clip from that production coming up a little bit later on.
So you remounted, I imagine you remounted this production several times, and I think the next image we have is of this same production in 2008. And you know what? Your company is called Writer's Stage. Can you talk a little bit about the inception of your company?
Well, it's a nonprofit that we founded. I can't remember when we founded it, but it was a long time ago. And we were looking to remount stuff almost 10 years after we had done it at the Belcourt. And I called a friend of mine, Steve Armstead, who's a commercial real estate person here in town, a dear man. And I said, we want to do a play about a couple of guys who were in the Army going in and clearing out a stage like we did at the Belcourt, or it could be an old warehouse. And we just needed an old warehouse to put some seats up and hang a few lights and throw some junk around and do the production. So he gave us something that you see there. Well, he didn't give it to us. He let us use it. And we moved in there and we did the production of stuff. And we were only supposed to stay there for a couple of months to do the production. And it turned out that the economy went down, and we stayed there for 5 years and did tons and tons of productions together. And then after about 3 years, I gave the reins over to Barry, and he rechristened it The Next Level and did tons of his programs for the American Negro Playwright Theater and The Next Level, and just did some great work there. I wish I had it over to him earlier, but we sort of built it together. And while we were there, we just did as many shows as we could possibly put together.
So do we have a video clip of stuff?
Yeah, let's see. Would that be the next thing on our list here? Or two, three is the video. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to stay together here. Yeah, we do. It is a video from the very first production we did in 1998. This clip features Ed Haggard, who was in the first production but was written out of the second one. Sorry, Eddie. And then and Matthew and Barry, and they're two old Army buddies that are hired to clear off this stage. And after they got out of the Army, they became day workers. And the play starts out with the stage full of stuff, and by the time the play is over, all the stuff is gone. And we have sort of metaphorically removed the physical stuff and the emotional stuff from this relationship of these two actors. And that's the first part of the clip. The second part is actually at Writer's Stage. It's the second production we did. And the two guys find a joint and things go from there.
Oh, where you going here? Wait.
Somewhere where there ain't so much stuff.
Oh, hey, a second. You just got here. Look.
And we just leaving.
Hang on now. Wait. You see all this stuff here? There's some good stuff in here.
Is
Okay.
that
Now
right?
Gary tells me, the owner, he said I can keep whatever I want. I can give some of it to you.
Oh, is that so?
Oh yeah. Whatever we want, we keep. What do
You
you say?
mean anything in here they don't want belongs to us?
Yeah, that's the deal.
Gary said so.
Right.
I thought we were leaving.
We're taking a meeting.
Okay.
Come on.
What's gonna be there, guys?
Well, damn. I ain't got one of these.
That's my bag.
You got your name on it?
Well, yeah. As a matter of fact, I just set it down there a minute ago.
Look
Look
out.
right there.
Oh, well, I ain't got one of these. Yeah, I can certainly use this. Let's see. And I will also be needing some Twinkies and some Milton likes ding dongs, I think.
Done.
You can tell us and smell us and take us to the store, and we'll just thank you and spank you and carry out some more.
Don't start that rhyming shit.
He's a poet and don't know it, huh?
Oh, he knows it all right. He does it just to piss me
come
off.
on. Roses are red, violets are violet, Andy's from Mayberry, not from Mount Pilot.
I'm warning you, Springsteen.
What if I, oh dear, suck bong water up my nose?
You don't know. Jerry Garcia, get the third or fourth. See? No effect. Uh-huh.
I don't feel it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what, Milton? You know what the world needs? Love. We should love each other. We should do what love would do.
Yeah, that's cool. If you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear some flowers in your hair.
A better way in my beautiful
Hey, see that pizza left?
No, man, no. You ain't most of it.
Hungry. Oh,
If you see the little statue in the back, that's the amazing Maureen, and she was in the first one and survived storage for almost 10 years to be in the second one. So yeah, Barry was quite something.
Yeah. The next image we have is of Barry with Charlie Strobel. Now, Charlie, for those of you who don't know, is a beloved, prominent religious leader in Nashville. And I know Barry, his whole life, his whole professional and personal life, was very focused on causes and social justice. And Charlie is an advocate for the homeless. Can you tell me a little bit about their relationship?
Well, this particular picture was taken after a performance of Stuff, and every production that we did, we did a private performance for the Odyssey program over at the Campus for Human Development, as well as any of the staff that wanted to come, and we did one show for them, and would just bring as many folks as they wanted to and come to that production. So this is a picture after one of those productions. But I think really Barry's relationship with Charlie, you can see he's got his arm around his shoulder there, was very cathartic for him as it related to what he would go on to do, which is be involved in the homeless ministry at Mount Zion. He started the Room in the Inn program there, he and Sharonda, and just be available. We did stand 300 times, and every time we did a talk back, and the amazing things that came out of those talk backs. So this is really kind of a picture of the beginning of sort of the Barry Scott that would go on to do wonderful things for other people. Not that he didn't do them before, but it was it was kind of a turning point for him, and then everything sort of led to Stand from there.
So, Jim, you've talked a lot about how Barry had inspired virtually everybody that he came in contact with. Audiences for sure, community, fellow actors. And I think the next picture we have is a table read for Article 4. And can you talk about sort of, how Barry inspired his fellow actors?
Well, I think he did it by example, which is what he did in his later life and his outreach and his social justice interest. The interesting thing about this picture, this is an equity cast of a play called Article 4, which, Barry and I were friends for all those 25 years, and there wasn't a production, there wasn't a script, there wasn't a 5-minute play, anything that Barry wasn't all about helping me with. He just, I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am now, which, I guess that's an argument, but without Barry Scott. He was either in, directed, produced, everything that I've ever done. And that all started with that first production at the Belcourt. And he would always say to me, he said, Jim, go out and get the best cast you can. And that's an amazing cast sitting at that table right there. Get the best cast you can. Tell them that I'm part of the project. And that's really all it took. Even if the script wasn't that great, and got better along the way, that was Barry's thing. He was just out in front all the time.
So he worked, and you worked with obviously local actors, and I think you also worked with some university programs. Belmont in particular has an amazing musical theater and theater program. And Jim, you write musical theater too, along with
allegedly.
Well, allegedly,
Yeah.
have an image production coming up next.
Well, I brought that to Barry in the late 2000s, and again, he would say, let's do it. And so my dear friend Sin Gore, who was a writer and friend, he and I wrote a musical called 21 Baker Road, and we took it to Barry, and I said, Barry, there's not a part in this for you, but would you direct it? Would you be our leader? Would you help us develop this? And so the first step in that development was to approach the Paul Guttrell and the fine folks over at Belmont and say, hey, can we do a read-through, sing-through? And we would love to use students from Belmont. And they all came, and everybody got together. And then we ended up reading it and singing it through twice at the Trout Theater with the Belmont students. And then that took us to a full production at Ryder Stage a little bit later on, after we did that original production, the sing through. I think there's a picture of Barry with the cast on the Trout Stage there, and there again, he's just leading the band and inspiring everyone. And if you could have just been there and watched the kids, and it was this way at Tennessee State University with all those young people just wanting to be near Barry and learn from Barry and just take in, I was one of them. I'm starry-eyed too. Teach me something else, Scott. I really want to learn. And so this was a really good example of that.
And you also did the production with Boiler Room Theater?
We did a full production, sets and costumes, and with the wonderful and Sandra Morton from the Boiler Room Theater. They brought a full cast of people, and we did it at the Ryder Stage Theater. Barry directed, again, bringing us all together. But it went from just a sort of standing singing thing like we see here to a full production with learned lines and a full band, and that brought it even to a little more completion.
Do we have an image of that professional production?
Well, here's the pic. I just picked this one of Barry. This is at one of the rehearsals,
Okay.
and this was very typical of him. I don't have. I tried to just pick clips and pictures that had Barry in them, and I didn't really have one from that production. But there's another one coming up here that's also him directing and being a part of. Matt, if you want to put that one up, being a part of what he did. You know, he's just loving it. He's teaching and he's being around the kids, and he's you know, he knew a lot, and Chip will attest to that. And his favorite thing was to say, here, you who are just starting, who are young, let me show you what I know, and let me teach you a little bit about this craft. And it was a wonderful thing to watch.
So I know we've mentioned a lot of local actors who we've seen on the stage and television and movies. Jeremy Childs is one of them, and I think he was in a production of yours, A Terrible Lie.
That was another play similar to. I'm sorry for interrupting you. It's that was another play. I'm going to try to go fast so we can get to Stand, which is a lot of fun to talk about. But this was a play called A Terrible Lie, which, like Article 4, we did it writer stage. We developed it in the same way. We got a wonderful cast with Cecil and Jane Jones and Jeremy Childs and Ross Boland, Alex Raver, Dorothy Robinson, and Martha Manning. They were all in it. And it was a great production. And Barry, again, directed us, inspired us, made it better, developed something that was so green and raw. And then we walked out of there with a pretty decent review from Martin Brady. Just saying.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. And so, so that was also one that we did at Writer Stage. We were in there we didn't know how long. So I was at home writing them, and Barry was getting them ready, and we did them as many as we could before they threw us out.
Do we have an image from that production? I thought we did.
No, I don't. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I was looking around for that, but I thought I maybe had run out of my my allotted number of photos. So
okay.
On we move. And
we're going to involve Mr. Arnold too. In this
I want to get him in here.
Conversation. So Stand is a beloved production that has performed all over the country, certainly all over our city for sure. The Tennessee Performing Arts Center Season for Young People had the honor of presenting Stand for 3 seasons, and I can barely get that one syllable word out without crying because it sort of is an amalgamation of the best of humanity and relationships, and I'm going to start crying, so please, Chip and
Chip, I've been talking enough. You jump in there, buddy.
You're inviting me to start crying too.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. It is. You know, I can remember when Jim called me in.
Muted.
Am I muted? Well, I'm talking. I can hear myself. So
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
I can.
I know when Jim called me in, I think it was 2011, and told me about the story and that Barry was already on board, and I said, really, it's about a relationship between a guy, a guy who looks good on the outside, but then is definitely flawed on the inside, and his relationship with a homeless person. And I said, tell me more. And then Jim started to tell me about his own personal experience with this homeless man. And I said, Jim, this is your story. This is amazing. And so we're going to get to, and you've written this play, and we're going to get to do it. And he, explained the vision of performing in Middle Tennessee, and then beyond. It grew and grew as the time went on. More people wanted to see it in different parts of the country. So, but the relationship that I began to really develop with Jim, and of course David Compton, who directed that initial production, and my dear friend Barry, we began this odyssey of how do two men from two different worlds, two different universes, communicate to one another and actually begin over time to develop a bond that goes so much deeper than just guy friends, that they're really become, in a sense, one that that's rare between men, and in a soulful, spiritual, deep way, regardless of what your externals look like, and the success or failure that you might portray to the outside world, but inwardly the human connection between these two men, these two characters that Jim so beautifully wrote in his play, and that Barry and I, night after night, rehearsals, and then in performances, night after night, got to express on stage to the people who got to see it. I haven't had that kind of experience. I've been an actor since 1970, and this is probably the pinnacle of my theater experience, was to do Jim's play, to do it with Jim, to do it with Barry, and of course, David Compton.
And Chip's right. It really did evolve. Our original thought was we would put together this, what I call the tour that cannot be denied, which is calling every single theater company in town and saying, we have this play. And the idea is that we'll bring it to you and you can use it as a fundraiser, and we'll put it on in a theater that you have a relationship with. If you have a theater, we'll put it on there. We'll put it on anywhere you want. And I think we were able to get about 15 people to buy into that. And then we spent 6 weeks just traveling all around town, and trying to mobilize the conversation about homelessness and addiction, and tell the story of Johnny. And so that was the kickoff of the whole thing. And from there, we went on to travel all around the country, and from coast to coast and in between. And we would play churches. We would play anybody that would have us, high schools, lots of high schools, kids that were at a time in their life where they were really sucking it in. They were bringing in information about, as we did at TPAC, information about what life is like and what kind of a person they're going to be. And we would lay it all out for them. And then if they had questions at the end, we would sit there and chat about it and give them some suggestions and that sort of thing. And I would like to say, Roberta, you guys had us there 3 times, but any other time we were touring around town and we needed help, you were always there to help us pick up a high school here or there, even though we weren't on the official schedule. And then, of course, we had the great Steve West with us, who was a fabulous addition to the cast.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
So I see a question. If Barry could write a monologue at this moment in time, what would his message be to us? And I think I'm going to cry, just whatever you say.
I think I think it's been written. It was written by Jim, and it was the last. It was the last monologue that Barry said in Stand, and where he talked about forgiveness towards other people, and that what he could not do, we could we
Amen.
can carry on the work
Um,
that Barry
we
as his
have
character.
some images. I think we have
You
an
have the
image. Do
trailer?
we have an image before the clip?
You could throw. Martin Brady was so wonderful in writing that feature article in the scene, and that kicked off our 2012 tour and sort of got everything rolling. So I'll always be appreciative. Martin has been such a wonderful friend and supporter of everything we've done. And then I guess next up is the trailer to Stand, which was the one thing we would send people to say, hey, this is what we were about. This is what we're doing. Will you invite us to your to be in front of your audience? And it worked almost every time. It was tremendous. It was put together by Tommy Staples, who
Yay, Tommy.
Yay, Tommy, who traveled with us and who just has been an amazing supporter. And he edited together this trailer for us.
Tell me everything I believe about you isn't true. You know, the things we're all thinking.
Failure, poverty, affliction, misery, depression.
It's what you do with what you didn't get.
Where was your real mom?
I thought the suffering was over, but now it's all around me.
Sometimes a story can have the power to change how you think.
I bet a dollar, I keep a dollar. It's a better business model. Me? Am I alive?
It can move you.
I'm so happy! It's the best thing ever!
From now on, you heal. You understand?
Every second of your life has value. From the first to the last and everyone in between. You got that?
Acceptance, pain, resignation, hopelessness, pride. But what happens when it changes what you believe?
I don't even know how to get to Disneyland. I got somebody that cares about me. That somebody's got resources, so I got resources too.
Stand is a story about friendship.
Come on, JJ. Get your stuff together.
Good stuff.
A story about hope.
We're not so different. You and me. You just got better fun with me.
A story of love.
I'm walking around for you.
Quit turning your back on me. Where are you going?
I'm walking.
There's more to being a man than just walking.
Will you sit? Or will you stand? Stand by Jim Raylan, starring Barry Scott and Chip Arnold, directed by David Compton. Will you sit or will you stand?
And again, that amazing voice. I mean, that was Barry doing the VO on that. So that kind of kicked everything off.
I can't see that without.
I know we have a photograph of Stan in LA.
This was part of
the next photograph is Talkback.
Oh no, that's a video clip. Let me
that
set
you
that
all
up
did,
before we play it.
That you always did post show. And
Yeah, this picture is
I'm
from
sure
Los
everybody
Angeles.
who is watching this realizes this, but the voiceover that you heard for the trailer is Barry Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I know that our student audiences were always just so taken aback when Chip and Barry came out to do the talkback, and they heard Barry's real voice.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the talkbacks and how they evolved? And I need to get a tissue. I'll be right back.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Here.
Well, that picture from Los Angeles was one of. We were given a grant by HCA. They are wonderful supporters, and we travel all around the country on that grant. And everywhere we went, we had T-shirts that were different colors. Remember, Chip? And they would say "Stand in LA" or "Stand in Las Vegas" or stand in St. Louis or wherever we happen to be. So that's where that picture came from. Go ahead, Ciuffo.
The talkbacks, you know, Barry was so articulate and so thoughtful in these talkbacks that he always started each one, almost every one, with what did this, you know, in reference to the play and to the characters and to the message of the story, what did it make you think? What did it make you feel? And what are you going to do about it? So it was a thought provoking, it was emotionally charged, and then it was also a mandate to action or a call to action. That not just the story of homelessness, which, you know, is a perennial problem, but it was the story of personal relationship, of taking a risk from two different perspectives, from a person of privilege and a person who is definitely marginalized by society. Both men took a risk to say, I want to be in friendship with you. I want to have you as a friend that I can say anything to, trust any story to or circumstances, and know that you care for me. And that was one of the, you know, I guess that was for me one of the strongest things about this whole story was out of these relationships, out of these two men's relationship, there was a call, there was a changed life, and then there was a call to action. How is that manifested toward each other? And Barry got the conversation going, and it ran the gamut of people's reactions to everything from relationships to homelessness to racial relationships and how do we improve that. And it was just a wonderful kind of conversation that that Barry got started night after night after night. Not just with you know, and really before the talkback, it was all in the play. It was all in the play, and so you know.
Yeah, I'll just say this before we play this clip. We went to a lot of different places and we had a lot of different audiences, and I think one of my most memorable audience for me, and I think Chip will agree, was when we were at high school in Las Vegas.
Ah, yeah, Vegas.
And the young lady who had invited us there came out and said, these students have never seen a play before. And we're not really sure how this is going to go because they're pretty rowdy and you guys just need to kind of be careful. And if the reaction's not good, don't take it personally, that kind of thing. And I tell you, when the lights came on,
but I cannot hear Jim or Chip.
You can't hear me now? Can you hear me now, Roberta? Okay.
I cannot hear either one of you.
All right.
Did you accidentally maybe mute something?
With audio?
There. How's that, Roberta? Are you back?
Can you hear us now?
Okay. See, you shouldn't have stepped away and gotten that tissue.
Yeah.
Roberta. See it
now
all.
Now you're in the secret square, so
Uh-oh.
anything could happen.
I cannot hear either one of you.
Okay. Well, Jim, you were talking about that wonderful performance, that experience that we had in Las Vegas with that high school.
Well, what happened was the kids were on the back of their seats, and Barry came out, and his character was somewhat, I mean, I wouldn't call him cartoonish, but he was a little bigger than life. And Tommy says he can hear all of us.
Yeah,
so,
Tommy says he can hear us, Roberta.
Anyway, anyway,
So I'm glad that everybody can hear everybody else, but I cannot hear Chip or Jim now.
I tell you what,
So
why don't we go to this clip and then maybe we can fix it during the clip.
Motel Noel, and I'm going to leave and come back and see if that works. Yes?
I'm going to set up this clip, I think, is the best way to do it, if Roberta doesn't mind. The clip is, it's a little lighter. This is from backstage at one of our productions of Stand. The guys are arguing about some of the words that were in the play that needed to be taken out or changed in order for us to play in a church. And so we realized pretty early that there were a couple of words that wouldn't play in church, so we just took them out altogether, and it didn't change anything in the play. But this is a conversation the guys are having backstage about what is and what is not appropriate. And then it ends with a little piece of talk back from after the show where Barry's talking about Johnny Ellis, who was the real life subject of the play.
But see, when he chickened
I about fell out of my chair when I heard it.
when he chickened out on, I went, okay.
But where did you come up
Now, it's him. Well, see, I did the first night.
with? I know, I heard that.
And then the second night, I said, come on, because he's done
I
laughing.
suggested it, my bad.
No. I mean, it was an improvement over anything. Was an improvement.
Oh my.
But I thought when he chickened out, and he didn't tell me. No.
Oh man.
Pancreas out of your and I went, you chick. So, okay. I said,
The
well,
church, man.
okay. And then I got
But see, I had already approved all those,
You did?
every one of them.
In the church?
Yes.
even
Yeah. Were the two they let us have. The other ones they wouldn't let us have. And we changed those early.
So what happened this afternoon? We were supposed to interview with Channel 5.
Yeah, Channel 5, you know.
And what
Where were they? Channel 5, I've never
Channel
heard
5
of them.
showed up, but you got here late.
No, I got here on time.
No, we got here on time.
But I was the only one here now, so they just talked to me.
Yeah, someone told me to be here at 2:30, man.
Who was that who told
I
you
was
to
in
be
the
here
park.
at
I don't
2:30?
remember.
And then Channel
I
5
don't remember.
comes in and they do nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I did a nice thing with them.
Oh, yeah,
Good.
okay, so it's all about the
all good.
producer or
Yeah,
playwright
yeah,
guy, and
yeah.
it's not, you know,
That's
we're
okay.
chopped liver, Barry.
Yeah, I'm
We're chopped
liver. It's been chopped. It's like, Room in the Inn is like Superman with no cape who can't fly, or not faster than a locomotive, can't leap tall buildings, but will let someone come in drunk and say, you can stay here. And that's really a hero. Or people like Jim who will say, okay, come on, and will keep saying, come on. At his funeral, it hit me with so much force that there's so much that we must do, that we are obligated to do. We have a responsibility. The public need is so great. I think we all know that. But there's so many things that keep us from doing it, our day-to-day lives. And I don't think I'll ever look at a homeless person the same way.
That was just
Well, Channel 5 is.
Off balance, gentlemen, and the audience. But
Can you hear us?
but,
Matt says everyone can hear us, so,
Yep,
Oh, good.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Oh,
Good.
good. Can you hear me now?
Yes, it looks like I'm on the ceiling, but I can hear you.
Yeah.
So, do we have another image from that same production, or a different same play?
Well, I've got a couple more clips of Barry from Stand, and this was a production we did in 2018 at the Village Chapel, which wasn't the final production of Stand, but it was it was near the end. And I would just like to say this briefly, if anybody is interested in seeing the amazing Barry Scott and wonderful Chip Arnold in a full video of Stand. It's available on YouTube. You can watch it on the writerstage.com website, and just type in writerstage.com. It'll take you right to it, and then you can watch the entire production. You can see Stand. You can see Motel Noel. You can see some stuff from Duff. There's all kinds of things on there that have Barry Scott in them. So if you missed Stand when it was up live, you can see it on YouTube. Oh, there you are.
Yes, you have.
I'm shifting my device, so we're just doing
Okay.
it on the fly.
All right. So, yes. Do we want to play the
Yes.
couple of clips from? This is the famous car scene, or part of the car scene. Chip, you want to talk about that? And then the other one is where you call up his foster parents, but you forget to let Barry talk to them.
Right.
Those are the two clips coming up.
Well, the car scene is we have just come back from a visit to Johnny's foster parents, his foster family that had, he had spent many years there growing in his young adolescence. And then when he moved away from there and became homeless and had the struggle with the addictions, and he found Jim actually did this. It's a true story. He took him a year or more to track down Johnny's foster parents. But when he finally tracked him down, he actually was able to arrange, for Johnny to spend some time with him. So this car scene. Johnny and Mark are coming back from that day spent with Johnny's foster parents.
Oh man, Mr. Mark! Did you see that park?
The park. I saw it.
I can't remember her name, but we were in high school and we were playing on a train, and it's gone now. In junior high, had professional wrestling. My brothers and I would go.
Your mother showed me a lot of pictures of you when you were 16. The Prince of the Roller Rink.
And the girls loved me. I was the #1 skater in the USA. A man from Disney wanted to sign me to $1 million contract. You ain't seen the stuff like the stuff I got on wheels. I was that good. Everybody knew it. #1 skater. The house looked the same. And my mama, she was waiting for me.
You look just like her.
I do?
Sure you do.
That's a $100,000 house. The biggest one in town. My brothers came. The stories my mama would tell.
Oh, and your daddy. I learned a lot about you.
They look just like themselves. They ain't changed a bit. And we had us a party with uncles and aunts and neighbors I forgot, with chicken and cake.
I think it was more like chicken cake.
My sister Brenda, she got a beautiful baby girl.
You have a nice family, Jay.
David couldn't come. He's in jail. And my brother Robbie, he's fat. Did you see that big boy? I could still take him. He's got his own business. He said he could get me on. It's janitorial. He's got his own business cards. He showed me.
I saw them.
You saw them?
Sure.
You got to be big time to have your own business cards. I'm so happy!
Whoa! What was your favorite part about coming home, Jay?
Sitting outside, smoking a cigarette with Mama.
Everybody remembered you, Johnny.
Yeah.
Oh, Johnny. This might be them. Hello? Yes? This is he.
Who is he?
How are you?
Is it about my check?
That's great news.
To get my check on Tuesday? No, I mean on Friday.
He's doing very
no,
well.
They take my money. That's a criminal offense. I get $100,000 in my account.
No. He's very much alive.
Who's alive?
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'll tell him.
Me? Am I alive?
Oh, don't cry. All right. Yes. Bye now. Oh, Johnny. That was your foster parents.
Who are they?
Jack and Darla. They haven't seen you in 20 years.
What do they look like?
I have no idea. They thought you were dead.
What? They wish I was dead.
No, they don't.
And I love them so much.
Good for you, Johnny.
What did they want?
Well, they wanted, they called because of you.
I can talk to them.
Yes, of course. I don't know what I was thinking.
I want to talk to them.
I'll call them right back. I've been trying to get them forever now, and they
give me your phone. Hello, Mama. It's me, Johnny. How's Daddy? You remember Grandma? She had all that stuff in her attic, and the man wanted to give her money for it. She had stuff going back to the Civil War with furniture and the first mirrors ever made.
Stop rambling,
She had
Johnny. You're always
quilts,
rambling.
And the dishes were antique. She had original pearls and a chariot with a horse. And Mama, everything was very first American.
Give me the phone, John.
And Billy Boy said he wanted to sell it, but Grandma said, Billy Boy, you don't need any more money.
Give me the phone.
And the couches upstairs got horsehairs in them. I love you. It's Johnny. Do you remember me? Mama's not home right now. I left her a message.
I'm sorry we had to cut out your song, Chip. We just didn't have enough time.
No, we didn't miss that.
Gentlemen,
You didn't miss
I
the
did
song.
not hear you
No, Chip
again.
had a big song in there. Oh,
What you witnessed here, you witnessed some in what Barry did in both those scenes. You witnessed just some. It almost came off as improvisational, and which was the remarkable aspect of a remarkable aspect of Barry's great talent, was that he could take these words and say them in such a beautiful yet rambling style that you think he's just saying this right off the cuff. I mean, he's just making this up as he goes along. And what the beautiful aspect of this was, they're all written down on the page that Jim wrote, and Barry has absorbed these words into his soul and brought them to such a beautiful place before they even trip off his tongue. And so that when they do trip off the tongue, that it is so natural, it is so believable, it is so truthful, because of the place of the core that was Barry, not just as a great artist, but also as a great human being. That he took these words and made them come to life in so beautiful and powerful night after night after night.
and as we went along and did this year after year after year, the guys would make little changes to the blocking or to the just the way things were said, just little things that made the play better. So it evolved every time we put it up, every time we took it back out. You with us, Roberta?
I'm with you.
Oh, good.
I'm back.
He's
So,
back.
Are we going to conclude with some discussion about Motel Noel?
We can, sure. I have a quick question for Chip before we move on to the final clip and sort of wrap this up. The life of a professional actor. What I don't know that there's very many of us that can sort of understand what goes into that, because that was Barry from the beginning. He was looking for his next role. He was looking for his next audiobook. He was trying to get a spot. He was trying to write something and connect. And I mean, that's your life too, Chip. I mean, that's how you live your life in a simple way, saying it in a simple way. Talk a little bit about that, about what the life of an actor is like.
Well, when you're living it, it seems not to make any sense whatsoever. And I think the word for me to sum it up is perseverance. You have the talent that God gave you, and you hope that you get to exercise that talent whenever you can. But overall, it is perseverance. And I know with Barry, as we grew and grew in our relationship, deepened over years, and spending, times and planes, trains, and automobiles, dressing rooms and hotels and dinner tables and all the wonderful things that we get to that we got to do together. The authenticity of Barry, the humanity, the manliness, the robustness, the commitment to pursuing truth in his art, in his relationships, at church at Mount Zion, with his kids, with his wife Sharonda, with all his fellow artists. There was no compromise, and there was no it was all in. Barry was all in every time. I know this is really not answering your question, but the life of an actor is perseverance and relationships. And what Barry proved over, because we both basically were actors for I'm a little bit older than he was, but we were both actors for decades. And he proved his commitment to the art and to the people that he created art with. And that's what I think separates people who just don't get it and those who do, is in how committed you are to one another. And Barry was a man of commitment, a man of his word. And when he showed up, he was fully there. And he made me a better artist just by being the human being that he was. Not just a better artist, a better man. And just because of the way he treated me. It was like the golden rule. You treat others like you wish to be treated. And that is exactly what Barry Scott did. He treated them honorably and loved them and was committed to them. And those of us who were privileged to make art with him was like a way of loving each other and loving the people that we got to perform for. And Barry loved that. I will say this one last thing for me. There was a men's group that met at Puckett Grocery in Franklin, Tennessee. I got to speak to them in August of 2019. And I told the people that were in charge of that, you need to have Barry Scott come and speak to you. And so in February or March of this year, it was the last thing I got to see him do. And he stood in Puckett's Grocery right there in Franklin, Tennessee, and told not just Martin Luther King's story, but his own stories. In fact, we were working on a script together that we were hoping to do, which was called Stories in Black and White, and where we were just going to be two old guys on a stage talking about our lives, what we meant to each other, and what we hoped our stories might mean to the people who would witness it. And we never got to do that. But Barry was always dreaming. He was always thinking ahead. He was always saying, Chip, we got to do this. We got to do this podcast. We got to do this show. We got to do these, and I'm going, yeah, Barry. Yeah. I'm there. And, at some point it was impossible for him to do that. But he was always thinking about how to bring our humanity closer together through the stories that we portray as characters, as actors, as playwrights, as authors, artists, how we bring our humanity together by revealing our own humanity through the art of storytelling.
And he used to say it all the time. He would say, stories that need to be told. And those were the ones he would seek out. And those were the ones he would tell or write or try to facilitate. And I think that's what we could all just hope to do, is be like Barry and try to create and put it into the world and use it to make a difference. And theater arts is really uniquely qualified to do that, because we're up on stage and we're telling stories. So let's tell stories about things that that people can be moved by and motivated by. And that was Barry Scott in a nutshell.
Well, I want to thank Chip, Arnold, Rayland, and Bellevue Community Arts, Kathleen O'Brien, Matt, who's helping us out behind the scenes. I know we're going to close this session with Barry, a recording of Barry. And so I'm going to thank everybody and say goodbye, but I'm going to let Jim sort of just talk a little bit about what we're about to hear in closing from Barry.
The last creative collaboration that Barry and I did was a play called Motel Noel. It was a Christmas play that we did in 2016. We continued to do stand, but this was a new thing. And Jamie Green came up again from the Boiler Room and was part of the play. That was a picture of Barry from that production. Through the kindness of the Four-Story Theater over at West End United Methodist Church, we were able to have a hall to do it in. Kurt over there was just fabulous. But anyway, inside that play, there was a prayer at the end that Barry's character said. And he's praying to God because it's New Year's Eve, and he's sort of at a turning point in his life, and so he says this prayer. So we thought we would close with that, and then right behind it, I put a small little 30-second clip of Barry sort of talking about what we were going to be doing when we started the Stand Project, and what he had hoped for it, and it all came true. And luckily, Tommy got it on tape, and that'll be the last thing, and then that's all we got.
So we three are now. We're going to Barry.
Okay.
I know it's Christmas Eve, and you got a big deal going on tonight. But all that celebrating don't cover up the fact that people down here have all but forgot about what you told them. We're all in this together. No one is alone. And watching out for each other means every little thing. It's so clear. We're but so many don't see it. All we need is humility, kindness, and love. Spread it all around. Check your hearts. See what it's saying. I'm homesick. You think I can come home? Okay. Jimmy and me, we hope we don't disappoint you none. However it goes, thanks for the second, third, and all the other chances you gave us. And if I ever get another one, it'll be different. This is Bunny, David. Happy birthday, little baby.
We are by no means done, with what we're doing. This is just the beginning. I think in our relationship and friendship, there's always been something more at stake, not just, the work. There's always been a higher calling, and the stakes have been much, much higher. And I like that easiness with which, we approach those things. That's, I'm appreciative of that.
Amen. It was
Enough
quite
said.
something, that
Beautiful.
P. Scott.
Thank you, everybody, and we're going to say goodnight now.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Roberta. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you all.
Mm.